Hello, my name is Wade Nimmer, and this is Rotary Serving Our Community. With me today I have Gary Dobbins, who has been here before on the show, but looking forward to what you have to say today. Gary, welcome.
Well, thank you, Wade. How you been?
Been good. How about you? I know you've been busy.
Staying busy. Yeah, like goes on in the town of Carpinteria. So.
Very good. So give us a little background. Tell us about yourself. Audience have maybe not all seen you.
Let's see. That goes back over 30 years, I guess. Being an elected official for the sanitary district way back when, I was at a district meeting and they came in and said, "Oh, the newspaper went under, they folded." And I said, "Well, how hard is it to run a newspaper?" And the next day I had all the constituents of the city going, "You said it, how hard could it be?" And so I started Coastal View News 24 years ago. And same time I joined Rotary. I've been in Rotary 24 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a great time as far as the community of Carpinteria. As you know, you represent us.
Part of it.
Well, it's
Very
just
much so.
it's a community that takes care of its own and works together well with taking care of the kids and the constituents in town like that. So.
Right. So tell us a little bit about yourself as far as the background. Did you have background in newspaper and writing and media?
Not at all. I was a paper boy. But
That's good.
after I got out of high school, I got into the military right away. It was during the Vietnam era war, and I went to Vietnam and spent 18 months in there.
Right.
Came out of there and didn't go home. Came west. What's that? Find your fortune, go west, young man. Mm-hmm. So I came west, went to Arizona, and I became a civil engineer, surveyor for the Central Arizona Project in Arizona. And then was eventually, once the canal was done, we built the big water canal there. Came to California and worked in chemical engineering, water treatment,
okay.
Setting up water plants. And then a friend of mine asked if we'd come to Carpinteria to take over managing some property he had up there. It was a mobile home park. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, perfect place to retire. And before I know it, a couple of local volunteers found out that I had a water background, and they were having trouble at that time with a sanitary district. And they were going to build a new plant. So 3 of us ran on a change. Mm-hmm. And evolving, and so that's how I became an elected official, and okay. I served 3 terms on the sanitary district, building the plant.
Good for you.
And of course, all that time I was involved in Rotary. Mainly, I served under like 8 different presidents as community service, so I got real involved with all the community things Rotary was doing. Sure. So, and many people didn't realize how important Rotary was to the community. I mean, the projects that we were doing at our club, not many on outside the club knew what we were doing, but we did have one, past president, Kevin Baird, got us involved in the immunization program. And so we started the immunization. That was my first big project with Rotary. And we then won the national thing for immunization for children.
That was polio, the polio immunization. Yeah, that was big.
And we did a lot for that, and then all the different things that we started evolving for Rotary were just so important to the community. Everything from, the biggie, I guess, was the park that you were involved in. That was
that was a good one.
It's
we enjoyed that.
I guess my point being that everything related to Rotary being involved in a community at a very high level, but there was really a lack of awareness a lot there.
There was. You've done an excellent job of bringing that forward too, between the newspaper and everything else you've done.
Yeah, we keep you guys in the paper every week.
Move us to the forefront.
Yeah.
No, which is definitely appreciated. But overall, the community benefits from it so much.
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, and that's what's become important about what you've done here to evolve this. I have high hopes that the Rotary International and these people will start being aware that finally a message is out there about what we do, the projects. I mean, Carpinteria, as you know, now has 3 clubs. We can serve breakfast, dinner, or supper now. So,
True.
But each one of them, in their own identity, does a project. You've got one coming up now, Casino Night,
Casino Night.
bringing it back.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, that money goes to which organization you supporting this time?
All goes back to the community. It's all different groups.
Yeah, you're doing
exactly.
the whole different group on
We
it?
are, yeah. We split it up between different groups in the community that need assistance.
And then the Noontime Club, which was the first club, as you
Right,
know, in
right.
Carpinteria, they're celebrating 45 years when
Yeah.
Doc started the whole thing. And
Well, they got the talent show coming up here. So
that's it.
their big
Yeah,
one.
that's a
Yeah.
big one. And their talent show, this money will go to help the music department.
Right.
And there was something else that they were going to help out this year on the. Well, they've divided the money up somehow. Music is first,
Yeah,
and going
I
with
do
the
remember
schools.
that one.
But you know, that's been what, 10 years now they've been doing that, I think.
Just about, yeah.
And our friend John Palmentary hosts
Yeah.
it, so it makes it a lot
John's
of
still
fun.
there, yeah.
Yeah, John's
Yeah.
still there doing that.
Good.
And then, you know, like our evening club, they just got started here recently. You know, they did a fix-up for you over to Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
I know you're a big part of the Boys and Girls Club, so
Big
that was
part
a
of
great
that.
project for them. And I just recently learned that they've made a deal with the school district now that they're going to start reading.
Right. Well, they actually started that program.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great program.
And they got some
Yeah.
people I'd have never guessed. Donnie Risden from
True.
76 is going to be
Yeah.
part of participating.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to get Rotarians, as you know, active and participating, sometimes it takes a little pulling, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
as the old say goes. But I think this school project will be a good one for them and move forward with that. And that's what's important. I mean, how many people would be aware of something like what we're talking about right now,
Right.
Rotary?
So tell me a little bit about the TV show. You were the one that hooked me here, put me in this seat. So
Well,
let's hear
I've
about
been-
the plan.
In 1990, I got involved here with back then it was public access, and Mark King and I were doing a show called Carpinteria Live, and we basically did all types of things around Carpinteria. I think we produced like 100 episodes and did that. So the city appointed me in 95 to be the liaison between the city and then public access. And so I sat on the board with Edelman and all them and Cox. And of course, then everybody was trying to evolve public access to,
right.
and not to demean SBTV, that's what it is now, but we've come a long way.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for over 20 years now, and Carpinteria has been a big part of it. We've managed to get some success from TVSB doing community stuff that we need to do. I mean, you know, the Avocado Festival and such, and so it's been a lot. And we're in the negotiation process now. I'm working with Eric to work on that, to get that involvement going. And I think there was a lot of times as the station was evolving that there was more community that needed to be said. And the idea of bringing forth this show for Rotary was the fact that hardly anybody, you know, the favorite question I know, well, what does Rotary do?
Yeah.
You know that. That's the first thing out of anybody's mouth. And to make them aware of what clubs do, and you being a past district governor, you've traveled the thing, all of them have very unique projects. I mean, it's amazing the projects that have gone on and the fundraising and the beauty of it all goes back into the community.
Right.
It always does. And you know too about the wonderful projects we do in the other countries, especially in Mexico and stuff, water and that type of thing. And you've got more Rotarians involved in that. You know, this last trip I hear you took Debbie and a few of those down there. And
Yeah, we always expose people to the great things Rotary does.
yeah.
Those are huge opportunities.
And it's important, and that's why I was saying earlier that I think that if we would, as the Rotary organization, would focus on being able to relay that and talk about the projects, then it would give the public this sense of what the worth is and what Rotary is. I mean, it's mainly made up of business people, but they're giving back in a very special way.
So that's what the TV show is kind of based on, to
Yes.
create
to
that
give
exposure, give
Of course.
another opportunity.
And you've made it possible that it's not just focused in, say this, you've got the district involved now, you've got the other clubs that you can invite in and talk about their project. Like I said, there's so many unique projects. I mean, obviously you know more of them than I do, but the ones I do know of, they're fantastic.
They are.
I mean, down in the other county in Ventura and stuff like that, they've had the Cajun Festival in that one, and fireworks and
The fireworks, yeah.
So, and a lot of people, just to have the symbol there, Rotary, is one thing, but to know what Rotary is actually doing, that Rotary is putting all that money back in to wherever they're represented from, you know.
Yep.
And I know there's been a lot from the Rotary Club in Montecito. You probably know a little bit more about what their efforts have been to try to help those that are involved in the flood and all that. So I know there's several projects in the Rotary Club there. Did they have to change their meeting place?
They did. They did,
Okay.
unfortunately. Yeah, they did. They've relocated. Again, it's just temporary.
Yes,
Ideally,
sure.
they're going to get back into the area as soon as it's less impacted.
Yes.
Right now,
yeah.
it's kind of a disaster zone, as you said.
So
Well,
they're going to be important to that community.
Yeah.
I mean, Rotary will do whatever necessary to help rebuild and get things back on the right track again. There's some great people over there that are in Rotary.
That's true. Now, when you approached me about the TV show, you had said that it's something that anybody could do, as in replicate. We could move this thing around the country
Easily.
with project models and pilots like we've done with this one here.
Sure.
Now, we've been going for 3 years, and who would have thought that we'd last for 3? You probably did. I had no idea.
Well, I knew that there was that type of information that needed. Rotary needed to be exposed that way. And the reason I think it should move throughout it, every state, every place, because it started in Chicago, has a Rotary.
Right?
There's Rotary organizations in every one of them. They all should be taking advantage of the services of their access television and this type of thing to get the community aware of the projects they do and what they do in the community, other than just having that symbol. While the symbol is important, it's also important to know what that symbol's doing in their community. And as a nation type, they should be aware of it.
Yeah.
They should be able to, get involved and do it.
Well, you said, which is interesting, in Rotary, because Rotary is doing so much for the community, so many great things, that the quality that it brings to these access channels makes a big difference, because there's not a lot of programming that focus in on what the community needs are and how they're being addressed.
Well, it's good quality program. I mean, I could tell you horror stories about the beginning of the early days of what we were wanting programming so bad, that it was very easy to get programming up and running. And, like I sat on that board with nightmare after nightmare, saying, hearing complaints about this and that was being done. But as the station evolved, the quality became better. Mm-hmm. And that's why someone like the Rotary organizations and the national should be paying attention to what they can do throughout the country on these particular, because this is all community oriented.
Right.
And it goes hand in hand with Rotary.
It does, yeah.
And programming is important. This is great for all the communities to know. And like you have a district that goes now where, to Cayucas now? Or is that, how far?
We go up beyond Cayucas to Cambria, Paso
So
Robles,
that's
Delano.
San Luis Obispo County.
We go all the way to Death Valley.
So with that type of thing, you're encompassing so many different communities, counties,
True.
and everywhere that should be involved in learning that, wow, we can look to Rotary to help if we just go to them.
Okay.
How many people really realize that, like when you do your calendar, that's one of your big projects too that I don't know if you've mentioned or had Rick on, but
we did, yeah.
but that money is diversified throughout the community in a way.
Yeah.
And when you do things like that, everybody should be made aware of how that is important, that, oh my goodness, I could apply to Rotary to get help in some project
Right.
or something, something that is important to a community. I mean, we did how many years ago we did the thing where all of us got involved with the fire truck for Carpinteria.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, you're fundraising for the park.
Very true. The one thing that I felt quite interesting that you brought forward was the idea of the show, actually doing that. You had a vision that I never saw. I mean, I love the idea of it, but that was after you told me. So tell us how you implemented that idea of actually creating a Rotary TV show.
Well, I think it was mainly transposing from just being able to have so much in what we call the club scene in the paper out to a broader audience, to an audience that would actually have a visual on the people that are there in the club. When you put a good visual, I mean, we put a picture in, naturally, you're new president of the one club or something like that. But this gives exposure to your guest, and people then can have a visual and know who they are in the community. And, you know, I mean, we all have our pens, and you have yours on, and, you know, we have all those. I've been to many Rotary functions where that's the biggest thing, is having that. But it's also being able to identify that Rotary does give back in so many different ways.
That is
And this gives it a visual venue. You know, you've got a person to picture, like a new club president. We've got a club president now. They'll go to say, hey, what can Rotary do for us, or how can we get involved in that? You know, and every time you elect a new one, and what is it, June is step downs.
Right, right.
So you get a new president stepping in. He's got new ideas. He's got something to do, but the people get a visual on knowing that individual and then being able to find. Have you been able to put much on here about some of your projects in Mexico?
Definitely so, yeah.
See, that's important.
It-
I mean,
we've been doing a
that's a
lot of it.
visual that
True.
they can't get from print or anything
Right,
else.
right.
Excuse me. It's important to add that element. I mean, when they see you putting in a water supply system down in a village or down in a small community, it gives them, wow, he traveled there? And then to see what you're enduring to go there to accomplish that mission, to help that.
For Rotary, on behalf of
Yeah,
Rotary, too.
yeah.
It's a huge footprint that Rotary has doing that.
And that's, again, why throughout the country, they all should be capitalizing on getting something going on programming from it, because it's just a benefit.
Now, we created this originally as a pilot as a model
Yes,
for others
we
to
did.
replicate.
We did.
Unfortunately, I think there's only about 2 or 3 that have kind of taken hold, only minor, but nothing major. This show, by the way, for your knowledge, we're in over 20 countries now.
Wow, that is wonderful. See,
It's been very large. Unfortunately, we're not getting the people replicating the model that we created. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I don't know how we're going to grow that.
Probably we've got to get some way for the insight to come to those in the hierarchy. In each state, there's got to be a way of getting to those individuals that are been involved in Rotary, that realizes Rotary needs this type of show, this type of a programming to go. It's not hard once they just take it and run with it. I mean, all they have to do is go to their facilities and say, hey, we're doing this in the community, and obviously you could travel to any of them to help them set up the way to do it. I mean, every one of the states elected district governors for their areas. They have representation at a hierarchy. But as far as the national, especially Chicago should be embracing a program. I don't know how to get this in front of them, but this type of model should be shown to them in their big tower there in Chicago, and realize that this is getting out in a different way that Rotary hasn't had. I mean, what are we, 100 years old now? And there was never this type of exposure to give people the details of what Rotary's about and what they do.
So definitely a venue that pretty much remains untouched.
Well, I know you have insight to meet some of these people, but I think maybe the way it might go now is to try to get presentations to them when you're doing some of your conferences or some of your places where they're meeting these people. and maybe showing, segments of this up on the big screen, that, like when you go to these conferences, of what Rotary is being exposed to, as far as now having another outlet to tell people what they're doing. And that may be the only way to get it off the ground more. I mean, we're doing well here in our immediate area, but there's no reason that the other areas shouldn't be doing it too.
No, I agree. And I thought it would catch on a little bit faster than it has too. It just hasn't done so. I went to, interesting story, I went to Atlanta last year for the convention, international convention, and they had 35,000 people there. And I was coming down an escalator, well, somebody was coming up. I believe she was probably from Taiwan. She had an Asian accent. She looked at me, and I knew she didn't speak any English. She's staring at me. She goes, TV, 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 TV.
Wow.
So I guess they're seeing it out there.
Yes.
So it is good.
Well, and that's what I mean about when you're going to these conferences, if we can get more of this exposed to these people to see what we've done with it. I mean, needing program and everything for Taiwan, Japan, they scream for it. And Rotaries are big in those countries, as you know.
Yeah.
And, you've been to Mexico where, they're like royalty, the business people that are involved in Rotary down there. And if they could show this type of thing, they love getting their makeup on and getting in front of a camera,
Very true.
I mean, to them, it's a venue that gives them a large exposure. So I think the best thing to do is continue to try in your travels to promote that, or even set it up so that when you're at these places, that maybe you have a display booth that can run episodes. And have it as that type of a tool.
Now, some of the negative feedback I get, those people that were the quote naysayers, that say, oh, no, we don't want to do it. It's too much work. Tell us how easy it really is. I mean, how did you get me here? It was pretty easy, I'd say.
How is it when you've got a built-in script? I mean, you don't have to go outside at all to be at any type of script to do the producing of the show. You have it all built in. You have directors inside every club. There's a community director, like I was talking earlier. That was what I did for 8 years under 8 different presidents. And so you have the ability to have those people in those positions each year when they're doing that, to have the script there. I mean, just what we had this last weekend where the hazardous waste. You had all those Rotarians out there wearing their jackets and unloading truck and throwing junks into the bins to haul away, a trash big haul. So it's not difficult at all once you, a district governor could have all this material come into him on a pretty regular basis. What's your club doing? You guys travel as far as district governors to every club, and they report to you. They take surveys all the time. Well, what's your club doing, or what your fundraising thing? So it's all coming in, and then it's just a matter of going to an access network like this and showing what community service is going on, because they want this. This is the type of good programming that this type of station needs. They need to know what's out in the community and what the community's about.
That's good.
So it's not difficult. I mean, you could even change up host in a way. You've taken it upon yourself, but I mean, every different district governor who has to travel constantly can say, okay, let me know what your club's doing. And you've got the information built in. So it's not a difficult task at all. And then you have these wonderful volunteers and these people that work at these access televisions.
Very true.
That they enjoy knowing and learning how to use and operate the equipment and bringing broadcasts out.
So how do you find a Gary Dobbins? Somebody that's able to go to a studio and be able to, quote, sell the show?
I think you're doing it. I think the best thing is like I said, is we need these people to see presentations. I mean, like I know you teach a lot about Rotary at different conferences. Well, possibly what they need to have is a class on evolving this type of thing. They need to have and show the presidents and the incoming people and officers that this is the type of thing that you should work for in your club and in your community. Find out. All you got to do is make a phone call, and you can find out any of this type of access community television, and then go down there. Sit down and talk.
I guess they could even use one of these shows.
Exactly.
Showing them what the model's about.
And use it as a model. So, you know, when you have these conferences, have a presentation of what these can do. I mean, you know, as you evolved and were teaching classes, that's an important part of continuing in Rotary, is for them to understand as a president, okay, this is what the model is about. This is what it has to do.
Yeah.
So maybe the same thing needs to be done at these things, at these national conventions and stuff, is have that type of presentation.
Yeah, maybe actually just looping in a show or something like that to give people opportunity.
And give them the understanding that it's not difficult. You know, if you've heard the question as it's difficult, it's not. There's no difficulty in finding people like this that work here and the access television part of it that want to be part of the community.
That's true.
I mean, they want to be a valuable part of the community too. So, you know, it's not a difficult chore.
Very true. So
get a programming.
get a program. I like that. We, I would say, took a look at the TV part when you approached me. And one of the things I thought was going to be difficult, I knew I can come up with 4, 5, maybe 10 shows. But now that we're approaching, you know, the 90, the 100th show.
Congratulations.
Things still keep coming up. Rotary does some pretty amazing things.
It's always going to be.
That was a vision that you had, not me, because I could see this far out. I couldn't see the big picture like you did.
Well, once you look at Rotary, and you know this from going, every president is encouraged, incoming president each year, to come up with his own theme, his own ideas for fundraising, his own creative things that he wants to help, what he wants to do in the community. So it's a constant turnover of new ideas, new things to do within a community. I mean, it's an endless supply. I mean, you're going to get a whole new group, a batch that you'll be teaching here pretty soon as the new, is it June?
June. Yeah, July 1st we start again.
Yeah, July 1st, so you'll start anew. So there'll be a whole new batch,
This is true.
whole new setup of officers. I mean, a lot of them, the presidents could utilize with their community service directors to show them that, you know, hey, this should be an important part of our deal this year.
Well, Gary, thank you very much for your time and effort.
Right.
I mean, for you to put together a TV show like this, and for me, I'm honored to be part of your plan. So
well,
thank you very much.
I think part of the plan was you being able to reach out to Rotary in the way that you have, because you've gone up a high ladder that ladder now needs to hold you and say, hey, you know, pay attention here. This is what we can do.
Well, thank you again very much
right.
for that one. And everybody, thank you very much. Stay tuned. Take a look at our TV show and make sure that you pass the word around. We want other people to be aware of that and what Rotary does. With that, we will see you next time.